15th, a day that looked remarkably like today, honestly. A nice day. We got some absolutely atrocious news that this place is going to close. Now, we had a moment of reprieve where we said, well, maybe we'll let this place live till the end of the year to give us the opportunity to find another buyer, and it didn't work out that way. The good news is we extended the period for another 60 days, but that certainly isn't the way to live. Like, you can't live not knowing what is actually going to happen to your future. Your kids need to know that they have stability at home. You have bills to pay, mortgages, rent, whatever the case may be. So just know that what we did here was put together a team of federal, state, and local officials to say, how do we fix this together as a community? And I think somebody in our earlier meeting used a great analogy. If in Chillicothe, it's the kind of community where if somebody's house catches on fire, it's not just the first responders that take care of it, but the community rallies around that family. What do they need? And that's what we did. We just did it at scale. And we spent the last 6 months saying, what can the true long-term future of this facility be? And when I was here back in April, just before Easter, I said, we need to make certain that whatever happens here next happens here for generations to come. We went through a very long process with a lot of community input, a lot of vetting, enormous amounts of time spent figuring out who is going to be that next partner. And I couldn't be more proud of the entire effort from the community. We've been able to land on a phenomenal entrepreneur, a great company, and it's a phenomenal story for a lot of reasons. We all know what happened during COVID, where we got locked up inside and we had to wear masks and gloves and all that stuff. Most of what will be made in this factory would have otherwise been made in China. So think about the irony of what we're talking about. Places all over Ohio 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago saw their factories close and shipped overseas, and then we just kept importing these products as if that was good for our country, and we know it wasn't. Now what we're doing is we're reclaiming the entire territory, saying we're never going to depend on foreign countries again for critical elements like personal protective equipment. So not only is this equipment made here in America, it's soon going to be made right here in Chillicothe, Ohio. So the equipment that will make nitrile gloves in foreign countries, in Canada, in Guatemala, all that equipment will be made right here in Chillicothe, Ohio. And then the boxes that those gloves go into will eventually be made right here in Chillicothe, Ohio. This is going to be the epicenter of an enterprise that will then export products to the rest of the world, from machinery on down. That's going to be the story that we're writing here today, because we had too many times political leaders that thought it was totally fine to outsource our jobs overseas to destroy and gut good communities like Chillicothe, and that's ended with the Trump administration, and I couldn't be more proud of our president for taking that on. So this facility, what you see here today, and I want the media here to make certain you talk to the people who worked here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and have them describe to you what's happened in the last 3 days, what this looked like 3 days ago. Because that's 3 days ago is when Pixelle transferred the ownership of this property to U.S. Medical Glove to what we call U.S. Paper Mill Company, Inc., and they even have a logo and swag already in 3 days, right? The bathrooms are now cleaned, and what we're going to see here is people in Chillicothe that will come here and have pride in their job, pride in their workforce, that you're handing a well-made product that's made in the U.S. Think about this for those of you who are, how many of you are veterans? Raise your hands. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Imagine you're a veteran and you get treated at the VA here in Chillicothe. Do you want the gloves that your nurses and doctors are wearing to come from China? That makes no sense. It's going to be made right here in Chillicothe, Ohio. Couldn't be more proud of that. So this is a great day. It's the beginning of a journey for not only Chillicothe, but for Ross County, in fact, for all of Ohio, because we're going to take our territory back. We're going to make certain that we reestablish a very simple concept, that a mom or a dad can have one job, raise kids, live in a safe community, go on vacation every once in a while, and retire with dignity because they had a job available to them that allowed them to do that. That's the essence of the American dream. That's what I fight for every day in Washington, D.C., and that's what we're going to bring back. So super proud of the team for being able to do that. If I went through the list of people who are responsible for this, we'd be here all afternoon, so I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is say one last thing before I introduce our guests. Want to give some positive shout-outs here at the end of this process to Brian Schwartz, specifically at HIG Capital. Obviously, as you've followed this journey, let's just say we weren't always friends during the last 6 months, for good reason. But we did land to this place, and HIG has committed to provide and has already deposited $5.5 million into an account that will go to benefit the people who are most affected by the closure of this facility. The local stakeholders, meaning the county commissioners, the economic development organizations, the mayor, the county, city council, will work on figuring out how to disperse that money. The first disbursement of $1 million will go out sometime in January, and the other $4.5 million will go out in about 5 years. That money will sit in the meantime in an Ohio bank, earning interest, but just know that we're going to be giving $5.5 million to help those who are most affected. We're going to figure out the best way to make that happen. And what you need to know from me in my office is that we will not allow something like this to go unchecked anywhere in Ohio. We want businesses to come to Ohio, but we're not going to allow businesses to wreck and destroy communities. We're going to make certain that we bring businesses that want to prop our communities up, that invest not only in the infrastructure of the town, but in the people of the community, that the company being in Ohio makes our communities better, not the other way around only, which is typically the way that's been viewed. We're flipping that whole conversation around. This is about bringing companies here to make our states and our state and our local communities better. I want to introduce a person that has been probably fielding more phone calls from me than he probably ever wanted to. He's your absolutely amazing county commissioner. When I was here for your fair, I thought I would be here for like an hour. That's typically, you know, when you have 88 county fairs, you try to kind of budget how much fried Oreos you can eat. But he took me to every corner of the fair, and I think we spent like 5 hours together. This guy loves this town. He loves the people in this town, and he's an amazing county commissioner, amazing man, amazing dad, and amazing husband. David Thomas, come on up. David Glass, come on up.
Thank you, Senator. I wasn't expecting the very kind words there. Look, I prepared some notes today. I like how Senator Moreno spoke extemporaneously there, and I can do that too sometimes, but in front of all of you, this is an important moment, and I want to make sure I get some of this right, and that's why he's a senator and I'm a county commissioner. First, I want to say how honored I am to stand here on behalf of our entire team, our local folks who have been involved in this, and of course my colleagues, Commissioner Jim Lowe and Commissioner Jack Everson. This is a critical and welcomed investment in our community. This investment provides stability to our community and a brighter future than what we thought might have been with this site. It's a big deal because what looked like a very dark circumstance for us, in which the community had no indication of what would happen, we're very, very glad to see that this site is moving into productive use. I want to express to U.S. Medical Glove how you will find partnership here, and we want to engage with you very closely. As I'm sure they know, and all of you know in this room, this site in particular means a lot to the people of this community. Not just because of the iconic elements of it, but because of what it represents, the history that has gone on here. As the son of a paper maker myself, and in the role as an elected official, I can tell you that our story here is not over, and this is the beginning of our community's growth. I look at today as a next chapter, and I believe that chapter, and I'm hopeful that chapter is one that's going to be bright. I think it's also, to touch on what Senator Moreno said, what this means in the grander scheme, not just for the local impact, but from the standpoint of the opportunities that we have as a community in capturing onshoring manufacturing opportunities. I think every day we become more and more ready to gain more opportunities. And this announcement is the beginning for U.S. Medical Glove as well. We have engaged with them and understand, based upon their indications, that they have a long-term plan to invest and grow here, and we want to be partners to their growth. But it's also a beginning, or a new beginning, for us. In the wake of these past few months, it's been difficult, and we, on the other end of it, I think, are renewing our focus on base economic growth, which means jobs for the people that live here and around our region, and foundational strength to our local economy, which supports vibrancy and vitality. Our local leadership is working collaboratively not only to welcome U.S. Medical Glove Company, but to begin charting a path forward that leads to a more confident future. Growth must become a mantra that all of us begin to adopt more frequently. Just as in our past, manufacturing is important to our local economy. I can tell you that because every opportunity I've had in my life, in part, has come from manufacturing jobs. I was talking with Robin earlier. She's a daughter of someone who worked in manufacturing, and I'm the son of someone who spent 20 years at this facility and who fed and raised a family on that job. There's been a lot of difficulty, and I'm not going to dwell on that, but I think it's important to acknowledge and recognize all those who have been a part of that story. And the first people, I think, who deserve some recognition are the ones who were directly impacted by the closure of this paper mill back in April. People who dedicated their lives 40 hours plus, probably more than 40 hours a week, doing shift work, hard, dirty work. My inspiration to our commitment to economic growth is with those people in mind. I'm very hopeful that many of the people who have worked here will have opportunity to work here once again, and I understand and have been told that some of them are already being called back. And you can see the work that's been done here just in the past several days. We want to support growth. We want to welcome employers that invest in our community, the future of their operations, and the people who work for them. U.S. Medical Glove expressed very early on and throughout their desire to be a partner with us in our community's growth, and today's announcement of their investment, I think, is an example of that. But also continued development and attraction of investors and employers to our community to continually diversify and evolve to the needs of today and beyond is important. Today is a significant day in our local history, and we have a long tradition of reciprocal partnership between employers and the people who live here and the people who work in this community. You'll find that commitment from us, and we want to engage with you. As Senator Moreno said 6 months ago, the future did not look bright, didn't feel bright. I came to this role, my role as county commissioner, with the intention of using my experience in my career as an economic developer to bring that experience to the job. I did not anticipate that that would mean helping to orchestrate a response of 830 direct jobs lost, $1 billion estimated lost to our economy. No one ever wished to see the end of the paper mill operation here in Chillicothe. That point became very abundantly clear in the days and weeks and months following that announcement. But we also saw in the midst of that uncertainty a lot of solidarity, a lot of unity, a lot of the community rallying together, as Senator Moreno said. Local businesses rallied together and offered discounts and support for those who were being displaced. The Chillicothe Paints, I attended the Paper Mill Workers Appreciation Night, where they played as the Mill City Stacks. Thousands of co-signers in our community joined a letter that the local stakeholder leadership had drafted saying, we want a voice We want a seat at the table for what happens in our community. We don't want to be left stranded with a site that is unusable in the future. Those countless examples reflect our commitment to employers here, and U.S. Medical Glove is a part of that. They're going to be a part of that. So thank you. I will give them very serious recognition in the fact that they were the first and among the only potential buyers of the paper mill who reached out to the local community very early. They engaged with us months ago. They expressed their intentions, and I will not forget that Saturday morning meeting when I met many of you. I have to say thank you to Senator Moreno, who has been pivotal in the response from day one and has played the most crucial role in this outcome. He saw the opportunity here. He knows how good the people in our community are and the value of this site. Most importantly, he sought collaboration, not just with us, but intense engagement with the previous owners of this site, and brought U.S. Medical Glove into the discussion very early on. He also announced in April that he would have staff locating here in Chillicothe, and his state director, Alex Scharfetter, has been at the center of a multifaceted response and has been a part of every meeting that we've held and probably every meeting that the senators held. I want to thank all my colleagues and stakeholders across our multiple jurisdictions as we worked through these past months. Congressman Taylor is here, Senator Husted, Governor DeWine, Jobs Ohio, and Ohio SE. Your partnership and continued commitment to support growth for Ross County in this region is critical and invaluable, and I say thank you for your contribution and thank you for your commitment to continued support. Thank you to our Pixelle response team made up of representatives from City, County, Economic Development, Tammy's here, Job and Family Services, Chamber of Commerce, Mike is here, the Montrose Group LLC, American Structure Point. As I've said before, this is only the beginning. Ross County is deploying resources and renewing serious commitment to growth and vitality. The time is now, not only just to welcome U.S. Medical Glove Company and support them aggressively in partnership with open arms, but also to ignite ourselves with a commitment to the future of our community. That is only possible when we invest in growth, and especially when we work together. This has been an example of excellent partnership not only across government jurisdictions and agencies, but with private stakeholders and the community itself. I'll close with this, and you can make of it what you wish. I sat in an economic development meeting earlier this week, and I heard some very wise words, maybe. I think they're wise, but I know they were honest. No one knows what's going to happen. That doesn't really sound profound or anything, does it? But we didn't know the paper mill was going to close when that announcement came. We didn't know what would happen to this site until, realistically, most of us a few days ago, or some of us a week or two. We don't know what tomorrow brings. But I do know this. The ones who work the hardest, who put in the work and chase the objective, who work together to solve problems, they're the ones that win the most. This announcement is a win. It's a win for our community. I believe it's a win for U.S. Medical Glove Company. We need to keep working together and focus on our objective, and the wins will keep on coming. This is a new chapter in our community's history, and I'm honored to celebrate it with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Great job. One of the other pieces of the equation over the last 6 months is how do we help the workers immediately that got affected? And you have an amazing member of the House of Representatives representing you here. He got the teams mobilized, and the Department of Labor authorized a $2 million grant that normally would take years to get done, and he got that done in weeks. He's my absolute favorite congressman of Ohio. Make sure the camera's got all that. Introduce Congressman Dave Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me here. This is obviously a very joyous occasion. I moved heaven and earth to make sure I could be here for this, and it's an honor to be here. But before I get into the comments I have about the good news here, I do want to recognize briefly, as Senator Moreno sort of just alluded to, we know that what's happened here today, great as it is and great as it will be, doesn't fill the gap that was left behind by losing the paper mill. We know many people are still hurting, and we will continue to work in my office. I know Senator Moreno's office, I know Commissioner Glass and all the other commissioners will work hard to make sure we find the best possible outcomes for everyone that was affected by that, and you have our word on that. Please reach out to our offices. Any way we can help you, we stand ready to do so. Okay, so on to today, which is just a wonderful thing. There are so many people that should be thanked, and a lot of them are behind the cameras. But as Senator Moreno mentioned, on April 15th, we got the terrible news. I'm new to Congress. I'm new to politics, period. So I had been sworn in January, and they made the announcement about the paper mill, and immediately we were all here. Governor DeWine, Attorney General Yost, Senator Husted, Senator Moreno, all the commissioners and me were there, and immediately started working on the problem. It was encouraging to me, as a person who's sort of cynical towards the operation of government. I knew it was going to be a great challenge, but I was glad to see everybody working together, trying to cover all bases to make sure it happened. So, and also Jobs Ohio did a fantastic job on this. The whole team was amazing and continues to be amazing. So thank you to them for their help. I do want, because he's not going to toot his own horn, he's just not that way, Senator Moreno did an unbelievable amount of work to get this done. Stuff I would not have been able to do. It's just incredible amounts of work, time, legwork. As he said, talking to commissioners and local officials, finding businesses that would be a good fit. And here we are today on the precipice of a rebirth of this facility in an incredibly positive way. Onshoring vital supply chains concerns is one of the top priorities of this administration, and this is definitely one of them. I was thinking while the senator was speaking that not only did China send us the virus, they then made money on selling us the gloves and the masks, so we don't need that to happen again. We just passed the working families tax cuts in Washington, D.C., and Senator Moreno was instrumental in that as well. And that bill encourages investment in things like this. That kind of legislation makes things like this possible. You're going to see more of this. It's going to be easier for John to grow this amazing business. And this is what's possible when a great American company like John's locates itself among some of the greatest workers in America who are ready to work, know how to work. The future here is unbelievably bright. And also, I think he might have mentioned this as well. He covered all the high points, but Congressman Kerry of Ohio led a letter to encourage requiring the VA to buy all of their personal protective equipment, like what's made here, from American-made sources. So that will be huge for this facility as well. The potential for growth, in that account alone, would be incredible. And testimony to the kind of company, if you had told me April 15th or shortly thereafter, when we learned about all the challenges of the paper mill and of the property itself, if you had told me that the same week the next business closes on this property, they'll be making product in this building, I would have said, you're nuts. But here we are. It took them less than 3 days to have machinery up and running, and that's testimony to people in this room. And John, I'm incredibly impressed. But long story short, already too long, I know. I appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to what happens here. And again, please reach out any way we can help you. We want to do that. We want to bring Chillicothe back to its former glory. So take care. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And And I know inevitably we're going to take some questions from the media. The question will be like, what's the inside story of all this happened? So I'll tell you now, and I'll introduce our next speaker. So I met Ambassador Bernstein because she's very close friends with President Trump. And so during my campaign, got to know a lot of President Trump's inner circle. Her and her husband, Richard, have known the president for well over 2 decades. And so when she got involved with the U.S. Medical Glove, the conversation was about, hey, we got to stop having government agencies buying personal protective equipment from China because that's just insane, right? Like, why would we ever be reliant on an obvious strategic enemy for things like that? And so she came to see me in Washington, D.C., and I said, well, why don't we, I'm new. So, when you get a new toy, you try to use it all the time. So I'm a new senator. So we have a really cool dining room in the Capitol. So any opportunity, let's have breakfast there. It's really cool, right? So Robin says, sure, we'll have breakfast. And, it still, by the way, gives me chills when I drive down Constitution and see the Capitol at 7 o'clock in the morning as the sun is rising. And by the way, when that feeling wears off is when I know I'm done. So I'm there. This amazing place. I mean, think about who had breakfast in that place. John F. Kennedy, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, make a long story short, they start talking about this, and I'm done after like 30 seconds. I'm like, look, it's a stupid. Of course we should buy this stuff from American companies. And I'm thinking to myself, what are we going to talk about for the next 45 minutes, right? Because there's no convincing me. And then they were talking about how they need places to make these things. And I turned to Robin and John, and I go, what do you know about Chillicothe, Ohio? And she goes, well, tell me about Chillicothe, Ohio. I told the story about the meet and what just happened. I had just been here just after that meeting in late April. And we started talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And they're wondering what else are we going to talk about because that's all I discussed. And as I said to Robin and to John, that was the most expensive breakfast they've ever had. Because here we are with hundreds of millions of dollars of investment coming into this community, and I know they're going to be a great steward because I know Robin will never ever let the president down, and I know John will never let this community down. And just because trust but verify, I will never allow either of those things to happen, but I don't have to worry because you're going to have a great partner. So Robin, come on up and say a few words on behalf of U.S. Medical Glove.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. You're right. It was probably the most expensive breakfast I've ever had. But on behalf of Paper Mill Company, I am so honored to be a partner in this endeavor. I am so happy to be in Ohio. OH! OH! Bravo! We're here. We're here to stay. We are here to be partners with you. I myself come from a small town in New Jersey. I understand the ramifications of what happens when a leading industry leaves a community. And when you can't educate your children, I know mothers are over their checkbooks figuring, how are we going to pay the rent? How are we going to pay the mortgage? How are we going to pay that car payment? How am I going to get my child to soccer practice or school? And when you can't educate your children and give that child a hope for the future, what is going to happen to that child? It's going to be drugs, it's going to be crime, and it's going to be people with no hope for the future. So I am here to tell you, as a small town girl who ended up going overseas, and by the way, we had no PPEs overseas during COVID. I had the honor and pleasure of serving during COVID, but we had no gloves, we had no mask, and what did we have to do? We had to take material for party gowns and make gloves and masks and medical gloves. So I'm so happy to be here. This is American exceptionalism at its best. John Todoroki is an absolute industrial genius. We have both served our country. We are proud to be here. We are so happy to be working with the community. I have never seen such a united community effort. Your city council, your county commission, your congressmen, your senators, all working together. They're not asking, are you a Democrat, are you Republican? No, they've worked together to help. And that's what we're here to do, to be a partner in the community. I want to thank President Trump for bringing his industrial strategy, reindustrializing the United States, bringing back industrialization to this country so we don't have to buy our products from people that are not our friends. So I'll be brief. Thank you very much. We're proud to be here. Go Ohio.
Robin mentioned to me that her husband normally wears a University of Miami, Florida jacket. She's got the Ohio State one. I said, well, one team was the national champions last year and not the other. So, look, just because I know the media is going to want to know some of the numbers and details, the closing on this property happened at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. I just want to process that for a second. It's barely past 3 p.m. on Friday. So Tuesday, 3 p.m. till today, what's happened? You see it here, already machinery ready to go. You mobilize a team of 45 people from their corporate headquarters that come here and have already hired, in that period of time, 60 people to come work at this facility, and there'll be many, many more. They haven't even sold one glove yet. So you can see where the opportunities are. Out of total deference to John, he said, don't set expectations too high. And I said, me, I would never do that. But look, the reality is this is going to be a very incredible, thriving business. For me, it will be a total and complete success when we exceed the employment level what was here in the past, when we see the investment level that we would never have imagined. And I also want everybody to understand that John and U.S. Medical Glove did this without 1 cent of taxpayer dollar offered to them. No money was provided from any entity other than their own private funds to make this happen, and I think that deserves a huge round of applause. And the city of Chillicothe has phenomenal first responders, firemen, police officers, and the U.S. Medical Glove, U.S. Paper Mill Company will be donating all of the gloves to the city for their use. So thank you to John and for the Medical Glove for doing that. All right, so that's a wrap. We'll take a few extraordinarily friendly questions from the media. So the plant's open now. It opened Tuesday at 3:01 p.m. They had to do a lot of cleanup. There was evidently, again, talk to the employees, ask them what the bathrooms look like, ask them what this whole space looked like. You know, you can't have a successful business unless the people who work with you have pride in their work environment. That's the big thing John's bringing here. So he's gone through the employment process of hiring 60 more people. But again, you can see what's going on here. Eventually, this will be multiple lines producing gloves. The equipment will be produced over there. Eventually, the boxes that you see in front of you will be produced here. So this is a ramp up. And I want to make this clear because I think sometimes people miss the lead here. This is nothing that isn't going to happen without enormous amount of hard work. This isn't just going to be snap your fingers and everything happens magically. This requires every single person, the first 60 people hired here, John, Robin, to really dig in, and it's going to be a collective team effort to make sure that this place is successful. But look, my metric, like to answer your question, my metric of total success is we've gotten through all the employment of the people that work here who want to work here. Maybe there's people who are close to retirement. And Congressman Taylor said something really important. There was a lot of people that, I'm just going to say the word, felt cheated, maybe rightfully so, out of pensions and vacation time. And John and his team is doing everything possible to restore vacation times, to restore days off that were promised. The medical benefits program is already, I'm being told, much better. We want to make everybody at least whole or better. Now, that's going to be a journey. That's not going to happen because we're here today. Congressman Taylor, myself, will work tirelessly to get to that point. Yeah, so we are also working, so if you couldn't hear it, the question was, I'll answer the second one first, pay range. That was also really important to me. As we vetted proposals, and there was lots and lots of proposals, and I apologize to the workers here because I know what that meant for you when you had companies visiting and then you'd hear, oh, this company's doing this and this company's doing that. They had to visit, and I know that the last 6 months, probably that process made it excruciating. But one of the things that was critical to me was we didn't want to say, okay, we replaced 800 employees, but they're making half of what the people were making before. Like that, to me, that's not a win at all. So John and his team is working very, very hard to match or improve on the workers that he's bringing on so that nobody's going backwards in compensation. That's really, really important. So they're working very diligently. Again, also the benefits program. In terms of the number of employees, look, that's going to be dependent to a large extent on what we're able to do at the federal level to make certain that we aren't buying Chinese-made gloves for the VA, for TSA, for HHS. So we have to do, by the way, follow the law, by the way. The law says we're supposed to be doing that. Biden, unfortunately, gave enormous amounts of exemptions to these agencies, and these agencies got hooked on these exemptions. So for me, it's about making sure that we have a critical demand. But look, you could see thousands of people working here if this place does what I think the potential is. Now, look, that's me saying. I'm not speaking for anybody from the company. I think the potential is there when you think about this kind of equipment, which, by the way, is their design. They currently make it in Illinois. We're going to make this equipment here. The boxes, they've never done that before. They've never made their own boxes. The boxes come from Mexico. So imagine the gloves are coming from China. The boxes are coming from Mexico. All that will be right here, vertically integrated supply chain with stapled right here in Ohio. The chemicals, by the way, are going to be coming from Cincinnati. That starts in a couple of weeks. So this is a great deal from Ohio. I think we can make that all work.
Test, 1, 2, 3. Test, we're here in Chillicothe. Test, 1, 2, 3. Test.
There is a mission